for social good. Solar power for social good. I mean, aside the commercial part of solar powering sectors and all you have, I mean, we're using solar to also do other social good. And today we're here to discuss what are those social good that we've been using solar for. How are we powering lives and powering progress? I mean, it's really important. Okay, my guest in the studio today is Ayokunle Omoniyi. He's project lead of All On Social Solar. Yes, you heard that right. All On Social Solar. And Ayokunle will be telling us all about All On Social Solar. And then we have Mrs. Betty Abah from the Heart of Hope Shelter for victims of sexual abuse. She is a beneficiary of this All On Social Solar project in partnership with NPPC and Shell Nigeria Exploration Production Company, SNEPCo. Yes, don't worry. Ayokunle will be telling us all about what that partnership is and what you should know. But the importance of today's conversation is for you to learn how we're giving back to the society and how we are trying to support. I mean, COVID did a lot of damage to many sectors, and the social services sectors is one sector that was greatly affected by COVID and with the whole power drama we have in the country. Okay, all right, enough hearing from me. All right, let me welcome my guest, Mrs. Abah. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's good to see you today, man. We know you hurried down here today, but thank you for making it.
Thank you.
Ayokunle.
Thank you very much, Wisdom. It's good to be on the show with you.
Yes, Ayokunle is monitoring and evaluation advisor at All On and is also the project lead for the All On Social Solar Project. Ayokunle, tell us really about the Social Solar Project or Social Solar Initiative. Let us know more about that. I don't want to be the one to say much. Let me give you that opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Wisdom. So you might know that All On is an impact investment company. So we invest in renewable energy companies. Yeah. So I mean, talking about money, but we decided to do something. The All On leadership team came together Q1 2021. Okay. Post-COVID, they sat down and they said, we need to give back to the community. We need to actually impact people. We need to go to the needy communities. So they said, let's set up something. Let's start this social solar project. And so we started discussing, and from there we started up with an elderly home in Port Harcourt. So I mean, starting from that time last year up to now, we've completed 10 projects. So the social solar project has been very, very impactful, and I'm actually happy to lead this project because I know I've seen firsthand the importance of this project. And once again, kudos to the All On leadership team for this initiative. Yeah.
All right, we'll go into the details of how the workings of this project is. But Mrs. Betty, once again, welcome. Tell us about yourself and the shelter. We know you run this shelter, Hearts of Hope Shelter for victims of sexual abuse. Tell us about this shelter.
Okay, first of all, about myself.
Yeah.
I trained originally as a journalist. I worked in both Nigeria and the USA. And then with time, I delved into activism. So I delved into activism, and over 8 years ago, I started the Center for Children's Health Education, Orientation and Protection, also known as C-HOPE. We work with children in impoverished communities, slum settlements, and all of that. And a number of initiatives, education, skills empowerment, mentorship. And over a year ago, about a year and 3 months specifically ago, we also started a shelter because when you work with children, inevitably you're going to work with women. And also as a result of the fallout from COVID-19, domestic and sexual violence was on the rise. We needed to respond to that. So we set up the shelter in Lagos for victims of domestic violence, sexual abuse, and all of that. And it's been a very fulfilling and amazing experience, especially because the idea of shelter is not very common around here.
Yeah.
Abroad, you have shelters
everywhere
for animals, for homeless men, for children, for women. In Canada alone, you have over 400 women shelters. 400. Not shelters for men, for homeless women, or for children, or for animals, just women. And now Canada is a country with 38 million people. In Nigeria, we have over 200 million people, and we don't have up to more than 20 functional shelters in this country.
So your shelter, now how many persons do you have in the shelter?
Our shelter is able to take over 20 persons at a time. It's a transitional home, so people come and go. Sometimes we have, like about a month ago, we had over 20 people. Some women come with their children, especially when you had the issue of Osinachi. So it was like so many people were reviewing their lives, people that were caught in domestic violence, and they were leaving. And so our shelter was filled to the brim.
Okay. Yeah. So now you are a beneficiary of this project.
Yes.
We are discussing now this initiative. But I want to know first, what was your power situation before this project? What was power like in your shelter?
Just one word, it was awful. It was a very horrible experience. The shelter is situated around the Ifako area of Lagos. And electricity is notoriously very low, very poor in that area. Sometimes we will not have electricity for more than a week in a month. And then they'll bring the light bill to cover the month at the end of the month. And then at a point, from 16,000 naira, 17,000 naira a month, we're getting outrageous bill as much as 110, 130.
Wow.
For no reason. We will write them, and then they say they will sort it out, and nothing. The very next month, the money will increase again.
Did you have a prepaid meter, or this is estimated billing?
It's estimated billing. So we were just frustrated, and just out of the blues, this solar energy thing came up. Someone were recommended for the solar energy, and then they came on a visit to supervise, and it was just like a joke. And one day we woke up and we had the solar energy materials. 24 solar batteries, 24 solar panels. I believe this runs into millions and millions of naira. So we're just extremely happy. It's so transformative that we had to write NEPA to say, Ikeja Electricity, to say we are no longer interested in NEPA, please. We are cancelling the entire idea of NEPA light, because right now we have 24-hour power in the house, and it's powering our deep freezers, all our appliances, fans, television. So it's just amazing.
So everything in the shelter now is fully powered by solar.
Yes, 24 hours.
It doesn't blink. It doesn't go off.
No.
Do you used to get NEPA light?
We've disconnected. We've written them to say we are no longer interested in their service.
Just like that.
Yes. It's just amazing.
Interesting. I mean, it's good to hear this. It's a nice one. I actually now. The feedback I'm getting from her is, they are excited about the installation of the solar. Yeah. But tell us really, why was the shelter selected? We know Olon did this in partnership with NPPC and Shell Nigeria Exploration Production Company, SNEPCo. But tell us, what exactly informed the idea of selecting this shelter for this project?
Okay, thank you very much, Wisdom. So I mean, there's a project scope that we use. There's a criteria that we choose and we use to score different applications. Okay. So I mean, Arts of Hope was recommended by NPPC and SNEPCo basically. They have an impact scene approach, because they're actually good. They're very, very good in that social space, basically trying to help needy communities. So, I mean, they have a recommended list of organizations that they look into. So, I mean, they sent us from those pool. We actually did an internal review. The committee actually sat down. We went through each of these applications, each of these facilities. We have the scoring criteria. It must not be owned by the government. It must be registered. Women-led, women-focused initiatives. I mean, out of all those scorings and out of all those criteria, Arts of Hope came up top. So we started to work with them. We did a lot of due diligence, went for site evaluation. I actually even went. That was the first time I met her.
Yes.
So went for that. I went for that site evaluation. So I mean, the team actually did a really good review of this project before actually approving this. So I mean, kudos to our partners that actually recommended them for this particular project. I mean, we can hear from her that it's been a very, very wonderful experience.
They want to disconnect their NEPA lights already. Why I like what she's saying is, every day we talk about this on this show. We hear people say, can solar do this? Can solar do that? There's always a question of what solar power can really do. But we are preaching on this show that it's a better alternative. And I mean, just like the shelter is doing now, you can cut off the NEPA, your grid power at some point, because you might not even need it, But Ayokole, tell us, what specifically is the solar powering in the shelter? She mentioned some panels and batteries, but give us more details on what is powering at the shelter?
Okay, thank you very much. So when I went for the site evaluation, the first one, so I went there to see the home. I actually met the beneficiaries. We had conversations. I went upstairs. I went to the room, so I was able to see what the load analysis was like for a first instance. So I mean, then we actually went through the bidding process for our investees, which we actually selected one of them, and one of them actually went there to do another technical review. I mean, so for lights, home appliances. I mean, just to make them comfortable. It's supposed to be a secure accommodation for people. They're supposed to feel home away from home, basically. So I mean, it's powering lights, powering the fridge. I mean, cooking utensils, different home appliances that they use, televisions, fans. I mean, like you said, 24 hours power. So you can do anything. It could even improve whatever in business they want to actually start. I mean, if there's someone in their house that's actually interested in tailoring, it could help them, basically. So I mean, we installed like a 5 kilowatt hybrid system. So I mean, that particular system is actually very powerful with 24 PV and like you mentioned, 24 batteries, basically. So I mean, the battery storage is also very, very powerful. So it's a very, very solid system that was installed by investee in that particular home, and I'm very sure that they're going to enjoy it for a long time, because we are part of the process of this is that we give our investees a 1-year maintenance fee to actually go there and maintain this particular solution for over a year. And I'm sure they also train them on how to use it, how to turn on the system and all that. So I mean, basically that was a good process done to actually finalize this project.
Interesting. If you're just tuning in, this is Power Solutions. My name is Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo, and we are discussing solar power for social good. What we're trying to highlight with this episode of the show is to, inform you on how solar is helping the social sector. The fallout from COVID was tough, and many sectors were greatly impacted. And looking at the power situation in the country, we are seeing that solar is a better alternative. And with the work All On is doing with partners in the sector, I mean, this is just a good initiative to align with. Power Solutions is powered by All On, and All On is an impact investment company, and we are doing this in partnership with Nigeria Info, your number one talk station. So if you're just tuning in, you've not missed much. We'll just get into the half of the conversation. Mrs. Betty, you're here now. So how do you operate this system? Who in the shelter operates it, or do you have people come there to do it for you guys, or you were trained to do it?
No, we're trained to do it.
Okay.
Yes. I don't live in the shelter, but there are people that live in there. They are shelter administrators, shelter officials. So they, and even the residents themselves. Okay. So we're trained how to operate it. Yes, and it's quite easy.
What would be the word, your word for the sponsors who have done this for the benefit of the shelter? What would be? Do you have any word for them at this point?
Yes, we're extremely grateful to the NPPC, the SNEPCo, for providing this very big opportunity for us. I always say, earlier today, I was just telling him that if you walk into the shelter, it feels like you are outside the country, because we are not known for uninterrupted electricity, but at the shelter we have uninterrupted electricity, and it means so much to us, for people who are coming to stay for some time, to get out of abusive relationship, to have a good time, to watch television, to receive counseling, learn skills without electricity interruptions. It's so good. We're also grateful to All On for facilitating the entire process, and they're very friendly. And all of that. So we're very grateful. Thank you, NNPC. Thank you, SNEPCo. Thank you, Olon. Thank you, everyone who made this possible for us. We are just extremely grateful. And I'm very sure we are never going back to NEPA again.
You are never going back. Forward never, backward never. I like that.
I think people should try out solar energy. This is like a natural, God-given light that people can get once they have the materials, the facilities, and at no cost. It was at no cost for us. It saved us a lot of money, a lot of stress.
How much do you usually spend on NEPA bills? You mentioned before.
When we started, it was around 16, 17. Then they moved it to over 100,000.
100,000.
Yes, it's just. I don't even know. It was a horrible experience we had, and even with the outrageous bill, light was still not consistent. It was just had to buy a generator set. Okay. We had to keep buying fuel all of the time with the pollution and all of that. So this was a big relief for us. It's just
where is the generator now?
It's just resting somewhere now. I was there on Saturday and it's just cooling somewhere in a corner.
I like that.
Yes.
I like
Maybe
that.
we're going to donate it out to the shelter.
I support that.
All right, Ayokule, talk to us about impact. I know all on we do this because of the impact at the end of the day, and as an impact investment company, impact is key. And you mentioned, aside this shelter, there have been 9 other projects, But talk to us about impact of this project.
Thank you very much, Wisdom. I mean, going to that particular shelter was actually eye-opening for me because, I mean, you, like she said, you hear about domestic violence and you kind of wonder how do these people get solace? How do they get somewhere to actually rest their head? So, I mean, going to a shelter like that, I could see that they felt secure. Everything there was actually very good. I mean, it was like a home. It was a duplex. It was a 4-bedroom house, and it was in a very gated environment. It was secure. So, I mean, going there and seeing that we're actually adding to improving their lives with this kind of solution, it was very interesting to see because, I mean, you need to have long-lasting impact on people's lives. I mean, she said it's a transitional home. I mean, when whoever is in a beneficiary of that home actually leaves that place, I mean, they would remember how well taken care of they were in that particular home. So I mean, looking at other projects that we've done, I mean, all over the country, we did one for it's the Marillac Center in Port Harcourt. I mean, it's the streets up. It's for street kids. I mean, kids come into that shelter. They come to take their baths. They eat there. They feed them, and they go back to the streets. I mean, they just try to actually just give them something to hope for. I mean, so they try to actually get some of them to even stay in the home and just give them shelter. So that particular center was a beneficiary of this project, and that was actually nominated by one of our investees, Energy. We had one for the School of the Blind in Surulere, Lagos, and that was actually very, very transformational. I mean, that was a documentary on how this was very, very impactful to that particular. There's a skill acquisition center also. There's one in Port Harcourt. There is a particular elderly home, like I mentioned earlier, in Port Harcourt also. I mean, we've done 10 wonderful projects. There's one that was done in the remote area of Yewa village in Taraba. I mean, it's yes.
Up Taraba.
Yes, it's forest reservation, mountain forest reservation area. I mean, that place, they're doing a lot of work there. Okay. I mean, and this particular.
Yeah, I remember that project.
Yes.
I remember.
That solar solution was so inspirational. I mean, it's helping the students in that school to actually students in that environment to actually get lights. They come to that particular forest reservation center. They were even taught on how the installation went. I mean, solar solution is actually very. I mean, I traveled to Jos recently. This week, last week, actually, I went to a remote area in Plateau State, actually, and I saw a community where the forefathers that actually never seen power, never seen power. So I mean, I saw the impact of mini grid in the community firsthand last week, and I know that the impact is immeasurable, to be honest. So I'm happy for that.
Well, we understand this project is only executed by All-On investees, and we know All-On has an investee portfolio of almost 50 companies in the sector, from mini grid to solar home system to everything. But why the idea to use only All-On investees?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that question. I mean, as an impact investment company, we have, like you mentioned, over 50 companies, and we actually selected these companies through a standardized world-class due diligence process. I mean, we've worked with them. We know where they get their materials from. We know who they supply to. We know the people in that company. I mean, they are our partners. They are family. So we know that for a project like this, to start off, we need to actually work with them because we want quality. And like she just mentioned, I mean, 24-hour supply. We do not want a situation whereby we contract this to someone we're not too sure of, that we've not done due diligence for, and I mean, and the solution is not solid. So I mean, that's why we're keeping this in the portfolio for now. I mean, we're trying to make sure that everything is airtight. We provide solid solutions.
Do you monitor usage in this areas where you have installed the 10 beneficiary? Do you monitor usage? Do you check how they are using it? Any word of advice for them?
Yes. I mean, I was at the one in Port Harcourt, the one for street kids, and we spoke to the mothers in the house, and they told us about how effective it is, because it's a very big building. To be honest, I mean, they have so many children coming, so, and it's a very old institution. So I mean, we spoke to the mothers in that house, and they told us how impactful it has been for them, because now they have power that they can use for so many things. You can imagine like having a home of so many boys, so many girls, and I mean, I was in Port Harcourt, and I saw firsthand how impactful this initiative has been so far. So we'll continue the monitoring of all the projects, even as we approve more projects.
Interesting. Wow, you've heard from Ayokunle. Ayokunle is the project lead of All On Social Solar Initiative, and he also doubles as the monitoring and evaluation officer for All On. So, I mean, so when you hear him talk about numbers and impact, you know that is what it is forte. But why I like this project is, you know, the impact to the communities, the impact to these shelters, the impact to the people. Like Mrs. Betty said, you know, imagine paying 100 and something thousand every month for NEPA bill, and see how this has been cut off completely. We're happy for the shelter.
Thank you
and we hope that this funds that has been cut off, at least for power, will benefit more for the shelter to do more and to reach more. Now, Ayokunle, before we wrap up the conversation, you know, always time is not on our side. I wanted to ask, so now listeners listening to this now, they'll be wondering, how do they benefit from this? And is it possible that organizations in the social sector can nominate a project or can come forward with a project to All On and the Social Solar Initiative to sort of get the kind of support the shelter where Mrs. Betty works is getting? How do you get projects?
Okay. So we started for this first phase. We started to work with wanted to work with All On staff, Shell staff, SNEPCo staff. I mean, like our project, for example, was nominated by an NPPC and SNEPCo, Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company. So, I mean, and our investees, basically, we started with that little pool. So they come, like All On staff, me, for example, I can decide to nominate a project. So, I mean, they say charity begins at home. So we wanted to start from every one of us in this family, and you say, let's nominate a particular project for this particular solution. So you provide 25% of the fund, while All On provides the remaining 75% of the fund. So, I mean, if you nominate a project, you bring it to you submit with an application form to All On, and then we review it. There's a committee that reviews this particular project, and once they do that strong internal review process, I mean, it goes to the leadership team, approval, then we move to recommending one of our investees for quotation. So I mean, it's still in-house right now. So I mean, if you have a project right now, I would say you can reach out to anyone that you know that it's in that particular pool of people. And
either an All On staff or a Shell staff.
Yes.
Yeah, or if you're a member or a company in our investee portfolio.
Yeah.
So any of this can nominate a project to the social solar sector initiative, social solar initiative.
Yes.
And then it goes into a due diligence. It's what I'm getting for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. It's been an interesting conversation, and I like what is happening, Ma. I like the smile on your face when you talk about the benefits and how it is impacting you. And we'll hope to visit the shelter soon and see how that is going, and to learn more. If you're just listening, you can watch some of these impact videos on the All On YouTube channel. From some of the beneficiaries that have gotten this products and these installations, and how it is benefiting them. Kule mentioned the School of the Blind. If you go on All On YouTube channel, just find on YouTube All On Energy TV. You can watch some of the videos there, or you can follow us on social media. All On Energy on Instagram, All On LinkedIn, and All On Energy on Twitter. But if you're not satisfied, you can find our website and just to get more information at www.all-on.com and read some of the impact stories on some of these projects, and you'll be amazed how far solar is powering progress, powering lives. All right, my name is Wisdom, and it's been fun doing this. Thank you once again, Ayokunle and Mrs. Betty, for being on the show. Until next week, when we come back with another important conversation. This is Power Solutions. See you next week.
Join the conversation no matter where you are. Download our mobile app by searching Nigeria Info FM on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Also, get news updates in sports, entertainment, news, and current affairs right on the app. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.